Tom Riddle was born on December 31st, 1926 to Merope Gaunt, a witch who is descended from the pure blood of Slytherin, and Tom Riddle, who is a wealthy muggle. But Merope had to use a powerful love potion to seduce him and marry him against his will, since she couldn't get him to be with her. However, once the effects of the potion wore off after their son's birth, Riddle abandoned both Merope and the newborn, unable to love either of them. So, alone and penniless, Merope promised to never use magic again, and she died shortly after giving birth, leaving her son an orphan. And he was named Tom after his father because she had loved him so much. And now, Tom Riddle Jr. was left in the care of the Muggle orphanage in London where he was born, which would later shape his entire future. So growing up in this cold, unloving confines of the orphanage, Tom quickly demonstrated that he was no ordinary child. From a very early age, strange things would happen around him, like objects would fail or break on their own, pets would become injured, and other children would be subject to his angry outbursts and punishments. And Tom instinctively knew that he was different and possessed abilities that set him apart from the other children. So, this growing awareness of his own power and superiority would become the foundation for Voldemort's insatiable ambition and thirst for dominance. When Tom reached the age of 11, a peculiar visitor arrived at the orphanage named Albus Dumbledore, who was at the time a Transfiguration professor at Hogwarts, and Dumbledore informed the young boy that he was, in fact, a wizard and had been accepted to attend the prestigious magical institution Hogwarts. This revelation opened up an entirely new world for Tom, one that he had only ever dreamed of. Finally, he had found a place where he belonged, where his strange abilities would be celebrated rather than feared. And at Hogwarts, he quickly distinguished himself as an exceptionally talented and academically gifted student. He excelled in all of his studies, displaying a natural aptitude for magic that far surpassed his peers. However, even among his fellow students, Tom remained fundamentally isolated and lonely. He was intensely private, coldly distant, and ruthlessly ambitious, caring only for his own advancement and recognition. Despite his intellectual brilliance, Tom Riddle possessed a deep-seated hunger for power and control that would foreshadow the dark path he would eventually choose. It was during his time at Hogwarts that Tom Riddle first began to uncover the truth about his family lineage. Researching his own history, he discovered that he was the last living descendant of the great Salazar Slytherin, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts. And this knowledge only fueled Riddle's growing obsession with his own self-importance and destiny. He became increasingly fascinated by the dark arts, delving deeper into the most dangerous and forbidden branches of magic. Tom also surrounded himself with a small, elite group of fellow students who shared his thirst for power, who would later be known as the Death Eaters, Voldemort's most loyal and fanatical followers. And upon graduating from Hogwarts, Tom Riddle's rapid descent into darkness truly began. He spent several years traveling abroad, immersing himself in the darkest of magical traditions and forging powerful alliances with dark wizards around the world. It was during this time that he also began to transform his appearance, taking on the inhuman, skeletal features that would become the fearsome face of Lord Voldemort. When Riddle finally returned to Britain, he sought out a position at Hogwarts, hoping to secure the defense against the dark arts teaching post. However, Headmaster Armando Dippet denied his application, sensing the young man's growing obsession with the dark arts. Furious at this rejection, Riddle cursed the position, ensuring that no defense against the dark arts teacher would be able to hold the post for more than a year. Spurned by Hogwarts, Riddle disappeared from public view for over a decade. During this time, he was busy consolidating his power and gathering followers to his cause. He delved ever deeper into the most esoteric and terrifying branches of magic, including the creation of Horcruxes, dark enchantments that would allow him to cheat death itself. Riddle also began styling himself as Lord Voldemort, cultivating a fearsome reputation as the most dangerous dark wizard of the modern age. When Voldemort finally emerged from the shadows, it was with a vengeance. He launched a brutal campaign of terror and destruction, targeting Muggle and wizarding communities with his growing army of Death Eaters. The first wizarding war that followed was a time of unimaginable fear and chaos. Voldemort's forces seemed unstoppable, and many wizards and witches lived in constant dread of the Dark Lord's wrath. It was only when a prophecy foretold of a child who would have the power to vanquish Voldemort that hope began to emerge. That child was Harry Potter, the infant son of James and Lily Potter. Driven by the prophecy, Voldemort sought out and killed Harry's parents. But when he turned turned his wand on the young boy, Lily Potter's sacrifice to save her son activated ancient magic that rebounded Voldemort's killing curse, ripping his fragile soul from his body and reducing the mighty Dark Lord to a mere wraith. And for the next decade, Voldemort was forced into hiding, his power broken, but his thirst for vengeance unquenchable. When Voldemort finally returned to physical form, it sparked the Second Wizarding War, a conflict that would pit the forces of good against the forces of darkness in an epic clash that would determine the fate of the entire wizarding world. Voldemort's hunger for absolute power and his burning desire to destroy Harry Potter, the prophesied Chosen One, drove him to commit unspeakable atrocities. He ruthlessly murdered allies and enemies alike, divided the wizarding community, and sowed terror and despair wherever he went. Yet, even as Voldemort's power seemed to reach its apex, the tide began to turn against him. In the final chaotic battle of Hogwarts, Voldemort's remorseless quest for domination was finally brought to an end when the killing curse he had cast at Harry rebounded, destroying the Dark Lord once and for all.